Carl and Brendan here from Games, Brains and a Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's track by track time. Making a debut on this series, it is Heaven Shall Burn. We're covering the 7th studio album by the German extreme metal band. It's called Veto and was released on the 19th of April 2013. So as of this year, as of the time recording, 10 years old through Century Media Records. So I have to start this off by honesty. I realized, well, two things. Firstly, I don't know who Heaven Shall Burn are, really. So when Brendan said this one and put this one across and said, cover this, I was like, oh yeah, the metalcore band. That's generally what I thought, the metalcore band. I was like, okay, yeah. Don't know who I'm getting confused with, but I was like, the metalcore band. And then when I listened to it, I realized I don't think I've ever heard it. I don't think I've ever listened to this band ever. And thirdly, if this, it doesn't work because it came out in 2013, but if this had been released this year, if this had been released in this year, it would generally be vying for an album of the year contender. I was fucking blown away. I feel like a fool for having never heard this band before, at least as far as I'm aware, because I thought like I said, I thought they were a metalcore band. Who am I thinking of? Were they a metalcore band once? You know, a band called Heaven or something. But yeah, generally stunned by this, absolutely taken back.
I'd never known them as a metalcore band, but I'm actually in a very similar position as you in that I have also never listened to them. I've never not known them as a metalcore band either. I think that's the thing. I don't know, maybe their assumptions. I don't really know what they are. I know why I chose this, and I have massive regrets, not for choosing it. I'm so happy I chose it. I have massive regrets because, as you know, as we both know, because it happens to us both, we are often quite busy. So we haven't always had a chance. We haven't done track by tracks, for example, the videos for a little while at the time of recording. I put this on the list because they were announced for Bloodstock. And I wanted to check it out because I was like, I never listened to them. Let's check it out. There's not a lot of bands there I like. And then like in the same way that I did for Meshuggah and that. So the intention was to listen to this pre-Bloodstock. And then fingers crossed, probably won't, but you never know. I might like it and it'll be a band to check out at Bloodstock. But we didn't get around to it because we've been very, very busy, work and other things. And, you know, it's kind of one of those Lorna Shore sort of moments like, oh, I wish I'd fucking listened to this before I decided not to give it a chance. So, but I'm glad I did now. I'm glad I did now because same as you, I always knew that they were on the, if they were metalcore, I knew they were on the heavier side of things. I think for some reason I had it in my head that they were maybe a bit more mellow death. I think there's elements of a lot of things in there. But yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like, I don't know, like what's this album? Did you say it's the 7th?
7th.
I don't know how this band have fucking bypassed me completely. Yeah. 7th at this point as well, and I'm assuming they probably have some stuff out since this.
Yeah.
You know, so what we could be up to like 9th or 10th or something like that.
Yeah, I'd have to check, but yeah.
But how much fun is it to be ripe old age that we are, and to find a band that's got at least a 7, maybe a lot more back catalogue that I'm now fucking excited to get into. I feel like I've been missing out.
I've got it. They've had 9. The last one was in 2020.
So yeah, I mean, look, it's probably no secret we haven't even started the track by track yet, but we're probably going to be reasonably positive.
yes, indeed. So let's kick it off with Godiva. I love that this one starts off with such an epic amount of heaviness. When the pace does increase, it's chaotic but layered chaos that really appeals to the headbanger in me. Yet the guitar melody keeps such order that it never stops sounding fucking epic. Like, this amount of speed and noise shouldn't be also making you go, oh. It's a very strong start for me. I was immediately like, oh, this was not what I was expecting.
Come save me from the burning.
Yeah, same. What a song to start off with, man, as well. There's no like sort of slow intro or anything like that. You know, it's got a nice little bit of melody and then it just kind of comes at you, explodes into life. Really, really cool riffs, great drums, really good sound as well, I think, on the production on that album as well. Helpful as well that I think the vocals are fucking great. I love the vocals. Very, very heavy, loads of power though. nice and deep as well. Added melody behind the main riff is brilliant. I was like wifing lyrical this. I just started writing shit like, this is fucking great. Oh my god, I'm really enjoying this. I like how the melody drops away for the first part of the main verse, then it comes back for the second phase. You know, it's got a little tiny little melodic slowdown. So like, even though it's sometimes billed, I think, as extreme metal, there's more than that. It's not just like a blast of extreme metal, because that melody and those little slowdown moments in that is more than that. And I was just like, yeah, I think the last thing I wrote was, I was like, this is brilliant. It's heavy, it's aggressive, but it's also catchy. I fucking love this.
Yeah, hell of a start. And we roll right into Land of the Upright Ones. So blood pumping, gets my heart racing. The cacophony of instruments leading to that filthy scream and the solo that follows had me sold. I was like, yep, don't matter. You've done it now. That's good enough. But as the track goes on, it showcases thumping heavy groove and a ton of infectious heaviness. Again, I was just like, shit, this is great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that drum and riff kind of combination in the beginning is really, really fucking cool. That isolated scream, you know, it's great. Suddenly you have these almost like siren-like sounding guitars taking a turn. Then you're suddenly back into rhythm again, and it's like, this isn't just like, this has got variety. There's different things happening. We're only on the fucking first 30 seconds of track 2 here. Do you know what I mean? It's like, Jesus Christ, this is fucking brilliant. But I think like it's very, very heavy. Yeah, it is heavy. I can see why the extreme moniker can maybe delivered there. But I also find loads of groove, loads of rhythm in it, and loads of catchiness in it as well. That's the thing. It's not just a blast, is it? Like there's so much more. There's a lot of elements going on. But yeah, it's 2 tracks in. I loved everything I've heard so far. I was just like, this is such a strong start to an album, man.
Yes, it is. And then we hit Die Strom rufen dich, which is German for the storm calls out for you. Some nice atmosphere at the start, certainly implies this one might be a bit of a different beast. And it is. As the instruments come crashing in, the vocals add an extra layer of darkness. The pacing is both thrashy and deathy. And the drums are on fire here.
Yeah, and it's also cool, like, because it was something like, you've done 2 tracks now, and then we get something just a little bit different with just, it's not over the top. It's just a little touch of atmospheric, a little touch of electronica, like it just leads you in, gives that little sort of slight industrial tinge just for a few seconds, and then it suddenly explodes, and it's a heavy cell track with pace and ferocity. I really love the fact that they sing this song partly in English, partly in German as well. I think that's really cool.
As fuck.
Love listening to bands singing in their native language. Bit of added melody, and the chorus just comes in and adds another bit of depth. It's a melody key change with a short sort of solo playing off. It's not really a solo because he's not a solo. He's not on his own, but it's kind of like he's playing a solo behind the last chorus, just out of the blue. Like, instead of just being a chorus on its own, now it's a chorus with the lead guitarist going for it behind you. And they're just little tiny moments of creativity that just elevate like a good song to a great song. It's just like, oh yeah, we could just do a chorus at the end. No, let's do a chorus and have something different behind it. So yeah, and again, I just every now and then write that, oh my god, I love this.
Fallen. I think this is as death as it gets. If you want to kind of put a label on the music, but it's just extreme, I think if you're going to narrow it down, this is a death metal track as you're going to get, straightforward. The urgency in it could be messy. But I've realized at this stage, clearly Heaven Shall Burn have extremely strong writing skills. There is no messiness here. It's a girding beast of a track where it's so fast and heavy that I'm still just captivated.
Yeah, no build up here or anything like that. It just kicks off straight away into like a mad assault of the drums and riffs. But I do find, again, even despite the fact that it's clearly an extremely heavy song and designed to be, it's kind of that strange thing. It's like, oh, we've been really creative. Let's give them a break by just hitting them with fucking, there you go, have that, you bastards. But it's still even within all of that, there's a little bit of groove that you could just kind of catch onto a little bit, I think the flow of the song, it's pretty relentless. It doesn't really let up much at all. But even within that, you still get like nice, clear separations, because there'll just be a tiny little touch of melody in the chorus part of it, which then just drops away as quick as it came to get back into a verse, and then it's back again. I think, same as you said, I think the songwriting is on point.
Yeah.
Stop-start section is really, really cool. And even there's a little sudden change up to a kind of slight, it's really, really brief, but spoken word bit just near the end of it as well, before it kind of like just finishes you off, one last kind of explosion. So there's a lot to like in it. Yeah, another good song.
Indeed, and then we hit Hunters Will Be Hunted. And listen, I'd have been happy for this album to kind of stay at what it was doing up to this point, variations on that without really going too out of the way. But I noticed, I was like, okay, this one's 6 minutes odd long. That's intriguing. No other tracks like that. But this is Heaven Shall Burn reaching into that epic bag of tricks for a track that I think is simply incredible. It's got strong mellow death vibes. Like a lot of tracks on the record have those vibes. This one I think is stronger than most. But the layers, the different tempos make it more special than anything else. It is fucking amazing. Captivated all the way through. So much so that when it ended, I was like, wait, it's over? Oh, amazing. My favorite of the album.
Yeah, I loved it as well. But the intro was fucking great. Those atmospherics again. They got the kind of guitar and a tapping sort of noise on the drums. It just all starts joining up and building up and layering up. And I love it when bands do that. They just start bringing in a layer, and you're kind of waiting for something to happen. And when it does, it's like bang, there you have it. Still heavy, but definitely slightly slower, bit more melody, loads more groove, and just those tiny little touches of electronica, which I really, really appreciate because of how restrained they are with it, right?
Oh, big time, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it seems to just be like, we're going to use just the right amount at just the right time. It could go over the top, we could chuck loads at it, but they just it's knowing when not to, I guess, is as clever as knowing when to, yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it's also, I think, one of those elements, what's really cool is that's the stuff that you really start sometimes to pick out on multiple listens, because it's not jumping out at you necessarily at first because so much is going on. You might pick up a little bit of it, but on the second listen, you're like, okay, I'm going to pay a bit more attention to that section and see what I was actually missing. That's how you know it's not dominating or like pushing itself to the forefront.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, look, I think it's a phenomenal track. It's still plenty heavy. There's loads of heaviness in there, just not always the speed side of it. Although there's plenty of that in there as well. The drums in the instrumental section, they have a nice big instrumental section as well, which is another thing I really like. It doesn't always have to be a solo. Sometimes there can be all of the instruments really going for it, drums at the forefront. And the drums in that sound absolutely brilliant. Slow and melodic guitars are cool. And then they bring that all back, transition them back for a really, really fast and heavy end into another song I just found myself absolutely loving.
There it is. But it's something quite opposite, really, with You Will Be Godless, because this is a short blast of furious noise that's just chaotic and cathartic. I don't know, think of just those moments where you just kind of want to let loose for a couple of minutes. Circle pit, headbang. This is what this track is. Yeah,
absolutely, man. I was like, okay, Heaven Shall Burn actually get heavier. Like, god damn it. This is mental. There's no messing around here. It's just fast, furious, in your face, blast of extreme metal, but still cool as fuck with punchy and powerful vocals. A really, really nice, fun to listen to blast of aggression.
Then I was like, when I saw this in the track listing, I was like, really? Yeah. I'm not a big fan of anybody covering Blind Guardian because, hey, what are you going to possibly do to make Blind Guardian sound better? Simply because of the vocals. It's always going to be that. So to see Valhalla as well, of all tracks, was like, shit. And like, I think this is an interesting cover. I do like it because it's cool to kind of hear an extreme version of this track. But it's one of those where I'm like, well, he ain't touching the original, so not, it's fine. I don't want to really say anything mean about this album. I'm just going to say it's a fine cover. It's a cool version of it. But if you love Valhalla by Blind Guardian, you're not going to think this is better or anything.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I think it's the cover of a song I love from a band I love by a band I'm starting to really appreciate. So what could possibly go wrong? And nothing really does. It's a decent cover, sped up a little bit, obviously heavier, a lot down to the vocal style. But it still manages to keep all the core kind of Blind Guardian elements on display. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Oh, that melody and that chorus exactly. And stuff.
It's not 100% like for like, but that's fine. I think it actually treads the line well between not just being a direct copy, but also being respectful towards the source material. So I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's a good cover. Just I don't like it as much as the original, which is where I was still head when I want to hear the song Valhalla. I did say though at the end of it, like there's a bit of clean singing right at the end of it when it's the outro to Valhalla, and I did actually write like, is that actually Hansi at the end? Because like it does actually sound like him. And I was like, maybe it's just like sampled from the original song, or maybe it's just that actually we haven't heard the singer of this German band clean singing.
Maybe you can, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, either way, I mean, we're pretty much on par with that one. Well done. But I'm back to their original stuff now, and I'll for Blind Guardian.
Let's get to the other stuff. It's antagonized. It's meaty. It's fast. It's mean. They're machines. They're fucking machines. This is where I just wrote. I mean, I thought thinking it all the way through, but this was the point where I wrote it. Proof is here. Killer riffs and those goddamn drums. You know, they're one of my favorite things in the entire album. It's that whole thing where it's still stunning to me that it's not a fucking drum machine. It's not a computer. This is a human being. Are you a serious guy?
Yeah, we're both getting like a lot of similar stuff out of it, because even all the way through this, the drums have been fantastic throughout, but all the way through it. But even I chose, it was this song that made me then point out the drummer, you know. But you know, it's like the breather is over now from Valhalla. They've gone full back on attack mode with an intensely heavy track full of impressive drum blasts and speed riffing. Occasionally, it just reins itself back just a touch. Like really, doesn't like when we say that. Like anyone who doesn't know this album, like this is not like, oh, they slow down or anything like that. It's not. It's little subtle touches, just enough that you catch the beat, or you know what I mean. Like you're like, oh, your foot's tapping or your head's nodding along or something like that. Flows really, really well as well with those bark vocals driving it on, and you even get a nice, only there for a minute, but you get a little bleh as well, which I was like, yeah, cool, there it is, why not? But I did then just end with saying like their drummer is a fucking beast. You know, I've noticed it across the album so far, but it really stands out on this track. Like he is amazing.
Yeah. Like gods among mortals, the epic feel is back. But this one has a more warring vibe to it. Taking the time at first, Heaven Shall Burn, take the time at first, almost daring the body to move. So when it does speed up, it turns into something akin to a fit, rather than a sort of build up to a headbang groove move. You're just, you know, fitting. I love this. I think it's an experimental take on extreme metal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, big sounding intro, huge drum crashes, and those drawn out melodic riffs. I think the slower, drawn out vocals after a touch, they really kind of give it all of that together, like a touch of something a bit epic that's going to happen. It's got gorgeous melodies, catchy drum beats, and it all just keeps growing and growing. I found this to be quite like next level shit. Like, it's that whole thing, like you're saying, if this could come out today, I'd be like, this is genre changing. You know, I'm like 10 years too late, unfortunately. But you know, I found this to be like really, really impressive, really creative, and you know, really, pushing the boundaries, I guess, of what extreme metal and if people want to call them metalcore, if you want to call them mellow death or whatever, pushing all of those boundaries together. I really appreciate as well, like how many of these different moments you find within it, like little bits of melody in the chorus, a little bit of groove in the bridges, and so like even on a first listen all the way through, like how much of it you're picking up, and I can imagine, like, you know, because I was listening to this just on the speaker coming out of my phone. I can't imagine how this is going to sound with my headphones in, and like how much I didn't get, like what else is there? You know, and then as much as I'm enjoying that and I'm impressed the hell out of me, then you just get a final minute in this track of just catchy rhythm and melody that just plays out as an instrumental at the end of it. That just, you know, vocals are dropped away and it's just the music. And it's like, yeah, this is fucking great.
That whole passing you by thing. Do you know when they got started?
No.
Take a guess. Based off this being the 7th album in 2013, and just think about what you were doing at the time.
So 7th album 2013. So let's go 1998, 1999.
Close, 95.
Oh
95.
wow, earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know what, like if it took them a while to get going or something then though, because like, you know, I'm listening to like Pantera and Machine Head and stuff around there, and I'm thinking like maybe this was too heavy for me if it was like this in the early days. Or maybe I was just so like, you know, I'm just getting into the Panteras and the Machines and that I didn't need other stuff, or it just didn't reach me. It was also harder to find bands, remember, back then as well, because if it didn't have it listed in the rock and pop section in our price, like I didn't have any way to buy the fucking thing. So
you just nailed it then. Right, so the first album came out in 2000, but you just nailed it. They were probably probably low distribution, early days, and being in Germany may not have ever reached its shores.
It's difficult back then, wasn't it? Like, you didn't get freedom of choices in like, oh, let's just go, if you wanted to buy an album, you was paying 14, 15 quid. And that meant that you only rarely ever took punts. Usually you went to a record shop to buy an album because you already knew you liked the band and you wanted that album.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? The only way you learned about bands like this is if the mags of the time, Terrorizers and Metal Hammers and whatnot, featured it enough to pique your interest, or if you've caught them maybe supporting a band that you've gone to see, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you weren't there.
These days it's fucking easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know the bands don't get paid anymore, but like it's easy for us.
All right, the penultimate track, up to 53 nations. And immediately I got to say, I love that kick-ass drum beat at the start. Then we have the guitars chugging away, the whole instrumental section building up in intensity until the vocals arrive and it takes on new, garish ways of life. It is an exciting listen with a ton of layers. Absolutely in love with it. Not bored in the slightest. Couldn't believe I got to this stage of the album and was still totally invested.
Yep. And I'm the same again. Catchy beat. I was just right. That's how you do a catchy beat. I think drums and riffs and bass just hitting you with a flurry of groove. That verse keeps the same level of groove before the chorus drags in a bit of melody. Pretty short, but seriously effective track. And while it doesn't really do anything different to what's been heard before, it doesn't really matter because everything that's been heard before is so fucking good, and so is this. So, yeah.
And that leads us to Beyond Redemption. And I wrote, they couldn't really blow it here. They couldn't really. I mean, even if it was a terrible song, somehow that it was something I absolutely hated, it would just be that. I'd be like, well, 9 out of 9, 9.5 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10. But I wasn't quite prepared for the morose melody that greets. That being said, I thought it was very cool sounding, and the guitar soloing is great. I also then wasn't expecting it to stay like this throughout. Oh, it has heavier upticks, but it never loses that strong melodic vibe. And you know what? I listened to it, probably this track, more times through to get my notes together than I did any other one. This didn't flow as naturally for me. And it was purely because I was trying to decide where not if I liked it, but where it sat in regarding everything else, because it is quite different. But I realized, you know what? It's the ending. It is an epic finish. This is the that's where it belongs. It's positioned there. It's perfect because of that. So I was really happy with it in the end. Different.
Yeah, it is different. I loved it. I absolutely fucking loved it, man. I've listened to this one so many times since I listened to this album. But I've listened to a lot on this album so many times, to be honest with you. It's almost gonna ruin my year now, because now like I've got my playlist for the best stuff of this year, and I'm just gonna chuck this one in there. We'll do our end of year lists of albums. This might be number one of mine. But like that melodic intro, it's got a real somber feel to it. I think the solos and the guitars that join in, it's all lovely, but it still feels dark and it feels sad and it feels like an ending. It really does.
Yeah.
It's quite anthemic, and it's quite beautiful. And I also really appreciate how it shows yet another weapon in the band's considerable arsenal, really. I was starting to wonder if he was going to have to clean sing, as I just couldn't see any logical way he was going to go from this stunning kind of guitar work into what we've heard from him singing so far. And I was like, oh, is he going to clean sing? Because I could see because I always read the lyrics, I could see there were lyrics coming up. And I was like, I can't see how he's going to do it. But he does manage to do it. And the song manages to transition, and I should add as well, seamlessly, to suddenly get heavier and more powerful, for him to deliver these more aggressive vocal passages before then bringing it back down to that solo in that melody to, separates the verses, first of all, because there's a couple of them, and then back to fading out. And I just think it just, it was what you said as well, like you just reflect back on it afterwards and you think like, that is a very good way to end an album. That really is. It felt like a close. It felt like, okay, and that chapter is done.
I am a huge fan of bands ending their albums in a way that feels like an ending of an album and so on. Not enough do it. So it's always really great when it's done that way. And that is the full album there. So narrowing it down to 3 tracks. This was funny for me. So I technically broke one of our rules. which is you have to actually choose 3. And I have chosen 3, don't get me wrong, but one
damn
of
it,
them...
I was about to go and put all my numbers back in again.
No, it's how I chose the 3rd one. So, yeah, I'll throw mine out and I'll explain it. So I basically went, okay, what was your favorite track in the album? Hunters Will Be Hunted. That went in. That's one of them. I then went, okay, I'm going to put in Godiva. And I'm putting it in because that was the first one. That was the one that made me go, oh, the opener of the album. The 3rd one, what I did was I closed my eyes and I jabbed my finger on the screen. And I came up with 53 Nations, which is cool because I was a real big fan of that one as well. But I basically decided, well, fuck it. Can't decide on the other one. Just, that's how good it is. It didn't matter where my finger landed. It would have been more than acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I in the most brilliant way possible, I obviously also struggle to pick 3 songs because it's that good an album that it almost seems wrong to say, oh, these ones are better than the others. But I guess that's is what it is. So I did choose Beyond Redemption. I love that song. I think it's amazing. I also chose Hunters Will Be Hunted. And I chose Land of the Upright Ones. But I you know, I could have done what you did with pretty much most of them and still been happy. So
there it is. It is an incredible album. If you've heard it, if you're a fan, you already know this and you're sitting there smugly going, yeah, duh. But if, like us, you're kind of discovering this band for the first time, well, you're in for a bloody treat. What's your thoughts on it? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.